Good evening. I'm going to call the Safety Committee meeting of September 15 to order. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the attendance today, we have myself and Councilwoman Awig. Councilman DeVries is excused. Also in attendance, we have the mayor from the administration, the chief of police, as well as Council President Jacobs, Councilman Winkle, Councilman Abens, and Councilman Schaefer, along with our assistant council clerk, Fijabi Galam, correct? At this time, I would like to go through the approval of the minutes from the last Safety Committee meeting minutes dated September 9th, 2024. Are there any questions, comments, or additions? Hearing none, those minutes stand as approved. And on to new business, we have 2025-121, an ordinance amending the North Ridgeville Codified Ordinance Sections 618.16.1, deer hunting by longbow or crossbow. It was introduced by the mayor and the administration, so I would like to go ahead and give you the floor.
Thank you. This ordinance came to us actually through the police chief. We had a discussion about the changes, and we brought it to you guys. There's a little bit of an administrative nightmare. I'll go as far as to say that. There's just a lot of work for this. And, similar to other things that we've done in the city, we've modernized the way that we do work. And, there's an opportunity to do that here. That's the biggest thing. I think creating an online map, is probably the biggest time savings as far as an administrative task is concerned. But for anything else, and for that as well, I will switch it over to the chief.
Yeah,
There you go.
the current way we're doing it is adjacent landowners receive notification. So as you can imagine, I'll first talk about what the mayor is talking about, the administrative aspect of it. A lot of the large farm fields are backing up to large residential communities, and you can have 35 to 50 notifications that are required by ordinance to be mailed out to each of those landowners, putting addresses on envelopes, putting letters, and what have you. This way, currently the ordinance only requires us to notify adjacent landowners. Moving forward, if we do it by the computer, it's a universal notification. So for example, let's say you go 3 parcels over to being a non-adjacent landowner, you would get notification as well, because now you can click on that map, and if your family lives 3 houses down from that adjacent parcel, but you don't get the notification because you're not next to it, you can see for your own safety whether there's hunting in your neighborhood. So whether it be across the street, whether it be 4 houses down, everybody gets the same opportunity for the same safety notification. So it becomes from a singular to a universal type notification, which I think will enhance the safety of the program.
Thank you. I did talk to Summer. She is the secretary over there at the police department, and I asked her if she could give me like a number of what they send out per year, and she said that not only is it tedious work, but every letter is different. Every letter has to have things changed on it. It's just a lot of work, and at 78 cents multiplied by 664 letters they sent last year, that was a cost of $517.92. Also in the legislation, it discusses removing the safety service director, since we don't have that position, and adding the mayor in his place.
If I could speak to that.
Yep.
The whole idea of putting a second signature outside of just mine is it doesn't allow bias. In other words, if I say no, another pair of eyes are going to look at it and say, why not? Just because we don't have the SSD, obviously the one certainty that I know, we have the mayor. So after I sign or deny, it goes to another set of eyes to say, look, should we be doing this or not? So it's not because the mayor is trying to have influence on the program, is just having another certain set of eyes to say, Freeman, you might be wrong on this one, or maybe we should take these restrictions and place them on there to that effect.
Correct, and there are some restrictions on some properties, because I was kind of looking through the map on Sunday, and I noticed if I clicked on one, it would say, cannot be in the southwest corner.
That's
Or another one was one hunter at a time. So
correct.
the interactive map is actually, I think, a really good tool, especially because a lot of people, I get mail and throw it away and not realize what it is.
Correct.
I did ask Summer what she thought about potentially new applicants. So if you have a new applicant that's never applied before, how she would feel about maybe just notifying those parcel owners, knowing that if they renew every year, it's just a tedious amount of work to re-notify these parcel owners. But on the other hand, what if that person sells their home? Now, the new person who purchases
Correct.
the home's not gonna know unless they go on the city's website. I think the website changes in the last year have been really good. It gives a lot of information. But I'm gonna open up to Georgia, and if Georgia has any questions she wants to ask.
If I could just put one more thing on top of this, when we put notification out there, it's just gonna be a parcel number. We're not gonna put out the homeowner's name, their address, or anything like that. It's just gonna be the parcel of land on the city map. So if you live there, you can click on, but we're not gonna divulge hunters' names, we're not gonna divulge hunters' addresses, phone numbers, anything like that. It's just gonna be a parcel number, so people have notification.
Correct, and any restrictions, which I think is
That
really.
is correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Georgia?
So, yeah, I think it's a good idea of saving time and money to do the, what you're opting for here. I would agree that not everybody looks at their mail nowadays anyway. But in one community, I understand they have the applicant, if it's a new applicant, go to the adjacent property owners and ask for permission. I don't know if that would be something we would want to include.
Not everybody is for hunting, so I hate to put in other words, this is an ordinance, and I feel just like a lot of different things, if city council, because they believe it's the correct thing, I believe there should be management from the city government, not so much where if you go to somebody who is a non-hunter, and they disagree with it, then obviously that person may or may not be able to hunt. I think we should, and I'm aware
I
of that
agree.
particular
Good
community,
reasoning.
and I think that could be problematic.
Okay. The other questions I have is on the ordinance, it talks about proximity to different buildings or schools or whatever. Do you have a certain, distance that you're looking at in terms of that? It seems kind of vague. You know what I mean? It just says close to. It doesn't say like a certain amount of space.
Says proximity of the property to residential dwellings, residential areas, or businesses.
Yes, that's what we take in consideration when we put on restrictions. For example, if there's a school nearby, we're gonna make a weekend restriction. Or if there's a park nearby, we've made a restriction in the past where it's the late months of January and February, because the park is not well occupied.
Okay, so it's not so much distance as it is the time of year or what's going on.
Correct, and if they're not happy with the restrictions, we don't sign the permit. In other words, they have to do what we ask because it's gonna promote safety, and that's why it's worded like it is.
So when is hunting season? When does it begin?
It
and
starts
end?
September 27th, so.
Is that the same every year?
No, it varies, but it's the same periods of time. It usually runs September through February.
Oh, okay. And then I had another question. It says, other reasonably identifiable health or safety concerns. Being a nurse, I'm wondering what would be a safety or mainly a health concern? That would be of the person owning the adjacent property, right? Or
Correct. In other words, it's kind of open-ended and allows us to make common sense decisions on pieces of property. So it gives us a lot of latitude to promote safety. For example, a lot of times if you back up to a residential neighborhood, we make sure the elevated blind is facing away, and we can dictate that then. So if we go to the property and find it any other way, it's a possibility we could revoke your permit based upon that. Or if
Okay.
you're ground hunting, we're gonna go there and say, look, this is not what the ordinance says, we're revoking your permit. So we left it kind of open-ended, where if you're doing serious violations of safety, we're gonna pull your permit for the year.
Yeah, I just didn't know in terms of health if it was a certain condition, like, you know, like if somebody had a condition that owned a piece of property that, you know, hunting would be bad for them or something, so there isn't any
No.
particular.
And I was talking to a councilman today, and in the 12 years existence of this program, we've never denied a landowner the ability to hunt if their property meets the minimum specifications. But we have placed restrictions, and for the most part, knock on wood, I'm not even gonna say it, the program has been safe. But like I said, we're dealing with human beings, and the probability of something possibly going wrong, it's a 50-50. But we're trying to do everything we can to make it safe.
And do you get many objections from people?
We
of
get
adjacent
concerns,
properties?
and we try to talk through those concerns. Sometimes we get people calling, they have a special needs individual, and we've addressed concerns like that, and we try to work through it, where the landowner can enjoy the rights of his property, but there's a sense of safety in the neighborhood as well.
Just, I wanted to point out the initial reason for even bringing the ordinance forward, many years ago, was that we were having a lot of accidents with deer and cars. And it was causing a lot of property damage. There was some concerns about the safety of drivers. And, so we introduced this to help control the deer population. And we only allowed bow or crossbow, figuring that, that's going to be somewhat safer to the surrounding area. And we required it to be, in the air, so that way they were aiming at the ground. So the arrows aren't going to fly, over the neighbor's fence and, go into somebody's yard, for example. So this was all designed for safety, overall, when the program first was initiated. And I think that's something to keep in consideration.
Yeah, and remember, just because there's a map now doesn't mean it's open to the public to walk on these pieces of parcels and hunt. You still have to be invited guest of the landowner. You still have to have permission of the landowner, which is a required piece of paper you keep on yourself. You have to have your hunting license. So by no means is this an open invitation to the public to come on somebody else's piece of property and hunt.
Well, it's really a good idea because a lot of cities are paying to cull the deer and to decrease the numbers, and we're actually getting paid to have people do it for us, really.
So I have a follow-up to that. What if you guys issue a permit and then say housing development goes into that land? When they go to renew it, is that
It's-
taken into consideration?
Yeah, it's a yearly renewal.
Okay.
So it's not a lifetime renewal so we have to look at it every year, and you have to apply every year.
Okay,
And that's the beauty of it too. If a piece of property becomes problematic during the year, we just won't renew next year, and we'll call our attention to that piece of property during hunting season.
very good. Do any members of council sitting in the audience have any questions? Mr. Jacobs?
Yeah, I would just, Please use this on? Okay. I'm not opposed to deer hunting. I think the map is a great idea. With electronic communications nowadays, having a map on the city's website for, the entire city to be able to view, I think is a great idea. My concern was regarding the elimination of the notification of the surrounding parcels. I think I've shared this with both of you, and I'll, just using myself as an example. Shortly after we moved into our house about 13 years ago, we were standing in the kitchen one day and looked out and saw some guy in a field behind us in camo gear carrying what looked to us to be a gun, but, from a distance we couldn't tell if it was a bow or what it was. And, so we called the police because we were concerned. And, as a lifelong resident, it wasn't until that time that I learned that we even allowed deer hunting here in the city. But, we talk about large residential communities, and, I think it's fair to say that some people would be very alarmed if they looked out and they saw somebody with a weapon, not necessarily knowing what they were there for. So again, while I think the map is a great addition, and I think we should do that, I just was a little bit concerned about eliminating the individual notification, just so that those parcels that were immediately surrounding that land where the hunting will be taking place, you know, would have some sort of a heads up that it was going to be going on. I know there was talk about possibly doing a letter one last time with a note in there saying that in the future, we're not going to be sending letters. Please refer to the website.
And we did that last hunting season.
Okay.
To the letters we sent out, we added a paragraph in boldface that says, next year we may be going to a computerized version of this notification in case, because like I said, this is a very, very time-consuming task.
Sure.
And obviously, we're stretched thin.
Right.
And I don't think I think if we get enough traction out there with the fire department's Facebook page, our Facebook page, the one-call system through the city, we can make this something where it becomes a natural routine where people go to the city government site to see what's occurring in the city and how to find out things in a more economic, easier way for us to administer the program. We're not looking to take away the safety aspect by any means. But I think it's going to need to be advertised. But just like when we started 13 years ago, people became more understanding of the program as we went on and changes were made. And I don't think this is going to be anything different. But once again, we're running across the idea of more and more is getting dumped on the PD. And if I thought we were going to lose the safety notification part of it, I wouldn't suggest this, because we've had 13 years of non-historical happenings. But we strive every day to find ways to do things more conducive to the current methods that people look at. And so it's twofold.
Okay.
But I've gotten calls from council people as well saying, hey, is this parcel have the ability to hunt? And then you can self-help yourself. And I think that's what the whole mapping part is people, 50%, well, as you folks know, 50% of the people care, 50% don't. But it's not, we're not supplying the information, it's just a different way of finding the information.
Sure.
But like I said, the whole idea is you could have got notification, but 6 houses down that don't touch that parcel, their children could be playing in that same field and they have no idea that it's even going on.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. I just felt it was worthy to have the discussion, especially when we're talking about eliminating or reducing the forms of communication, you know, to the public. So.
Any other members of council? Mr. Schaefer?
Well, first of all, I love hunting. I'm more of a duck guy. I don't really hunt for deer just because they're so heavy. But my question was, when we talk in the ordinance about putting somebody on a seasonal hunting map, is that something the city does, or am I expected to go on the internet, create yet another account with yet another password with secondary authentication?
No, we
pick
take
the
care of all, we
pictures?
take care of all that.
Okay, that was my big concern, because for a lot of older people and people like me, that would be a deterrent to want to go hunting.
Yeah,
You
from
know.
what I gathered, it's, you just click on, there's gonna be like an orange, is it orange or green?
Correct.
And you just click on the orange and it pops up where it's at, the parcel number.
Okay.
It's actually pretty easy and interactive from what I've
So I would
saw.
just hand a form to somebody at the police department and it would be taken care of?
That's right. If you want to register your land, we make sure you have the right amount of land, you haven't been a problem in the past. We do the rest of the work.
Is there any possibility that this might be opened up to black powder?
To a
No.
what?
Black powder? No.
Because my understanding is those bullets don't ricochet, they fragment.
I understand, but as of now, it's a bow hunting
Okay.
ordinance.
Any other members of council? I'll open it up to the public. Any members of the public? No, Don? I know it's a tedious job, but I do feel that if there's new applicants that come through and apply, how many new applicants would you say you get a year? Since it's already been 13 years in.
This year, we probably only have 4 or 5 at this point.
Would it be too much to ask to at least maybe when they're new applicants to at least mail those parcel owners? Because I would like to at least see that in there.
The
And
first year.
first year, yeah,
Yeah, that-
not renewals.
Now, the only thing I say, hunting season starts the 27th. So if we're gonna add that, like I said, maybe puts, time is of the essence.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Otherwise,
It's fine. I don't know if it's totally necessary. I think that some people may have moved into the other properties that, you know, hunting is nearby, and they're not getting notice. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
So
the
we would have to go
person's
back to the
renewing.
letter.
So I don't really think that's necessary to do that.
Okay. Any other members of council have an opinion on that?
If the amount of notification is minor and it's in the first year only, I wouldn't think it's a huge problem. And then you're kind of transitioning people to a new system. So that's my opinion. I think we can change language either here or on the floor if we want to add something minor like that. I do have another question. You mentioned using the text message service maybe to notify people. Is that something that like every year, hey, the map's out, go
Yes.
check it out?
Correct. If
That's a
we have
great idea.
service, I think that would be an excellent way of getting the notification out there, the one call where the new hunting map is up and running. Yes, so to get people used to it, because I agree with you. I mean, you don't wanna not notify people, but it's just like a snowball going down the hill. The more momentum we can get, it'll become the norm. That's what we wanna make it, yes, but we're gonna go Facebook, fire, police, city website, and we'll do the one call. As soon as we get the majority, if we wanna go forward with this, we'll get that done.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make everybody aware, no matter what you do tonight, it's too late to change it for this deer season, because deer season starts before our next meeting. And so we're going to have to follow the old ordinance. So anything that you do would actually not take effect until next deer season, or if there were any applications that came in after the effective date of the ordinance. So I don't know if that changes anybody's thoughts about notifications and who to notify, but it won't happen this season.
So people for
Unfortunately.
this season have already been notified.
No, not yet. I think they're holding off, hoping that you guys were going to change the ordinance. But I think the earliest it's going to come back as a committee report next meeting in October. You could vote on it if we suspend, rules and stuff. But, the season starts the 27th.
Correct.
Madam Chairman, since you said in last year's letter that they weren't gonna be notified, they were gonna have to go on the map, I don't see why we really need to notify anybody this year, if that's what was given to them last year. Anybody new, I feel like, people that, unless you, the people that are next to parcels where they used to be notified are gonna wonder why they didn't get notified if they talk to a friend that got notified this year, because it's a new parcel asking for permission or whatever. I don't know, I don't think that, I guess I would go according to what you said in last year's letter. I'm just not sure why it didn't come before us before now, I guess.
We'd have to see if we could make it retroactive, maybe.
That was my other question, is if it's not retroactive and if we change to add the verbiage, then wouldn't this whole ordinance not take effect until next year?
Right.
Correct. If we don't make it retroactive. I don't know if we can, but unfortunately, our law director is sick and will not be at the meeting tonight, so I don't have the opportunity to ask him.
This is what we wrote on last year's notifications. This is what we wrote on last year's notifications. This will likely be the last year we'll be sending a notification letter by mail. Next year, a map with registered properties will be on the city's website, www.nridgeville.org. So that's what we sent to the 700 letters we sent out to the property owner, or the adjacent property owners last year.
Okay. Anybody else have anything further?
I do believe we have the option, if the council is so inclined, to suspend the bylaws this evening and put it on
Re-add it.
tonight's agenda. It would require the emergency clause to be adopted, and go into effect before the 27th, but just throwing that out there, that would be an option for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, because that was my next question. Okay, well, I think we've had good conversation. Are you good with the ordinance as is, or do you have any type of a motion you'd like to make, or?
I guess I would move to take it to the city council meeting tonight, if we're able to do that.
Okay, so it was moved, well, and I'll second that, it was moved by Awig and seconded by Swank to send this back to city council for consideration. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.